Hello everyone, this is End Time Counterpoint. My name is Dan, thanks for tuning in today. I can't help but chuckle just a little bit at the assertion that Jonathan Cahn has made that Mark Twain, of all people, fulfilled prophecy that we can read in Deuteronomy chapter 29. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but I watched a short video and I couldn't help but chuckle, and I can hardly keep from chuckling right now to think that Mark Twain has fulfilled prophecy in Deuteronomy chapter 29. Mark Twain supposedly made the statement that if there was no tobacco in heaven, he didn't want to go. And there's a lot that people don't know about Mark Twain, and Jonathan Cahn is counting on that. And he's counting on Christians not checking into the story on either side, whether reading Deuteronomy for themselves or thinking about this assertion about Mark Twain. And these guys count on this, that Christians just won't check into the story. They will just believe whatever they say. And, it's true that people will fall more readily for a big lie than a little one. So Jonathan Cahn has come off with a whopper of a lie. But let's think about Mark Twain for just a minute. He was not traveling to the Holy Land by himself. He was traveling with a religious tour group. I don't know if you know that. And so you think about that, and if any member of that tour group was taking a boat across the Atlantic, going to Europe, and eventually the Holy Land, if any of them were going there for their first time, they could certainly qualify as the stranger from afar phrase mentioned in Deuteronomy 29. So why didn't Jonathan Cahn talk about any of those members of the tour group? Well, it's because we don't know their names. They're not famous, but Mark Twain is. So Jonathan Cahn obviously name-dropped and cherry-picked Mark Twain out of that tour group and linked him up with Deuteronomy chapter 29, right? And then you have to think about this. In all the hundreds of years between the time that Deuteronomy was written and Mark Twain took his trip over there, does he expect us to believe that there's not a single person in all those hundreds of years that would equally qualify for being a stranger from afar, going into the Holy Land and seeing it for themselves? Really? He's going to cherry pick Mark Twain out of all the hundreds and maybe thousands of people who traveled to Israel from afar over the course of several hundred years. He expects us to believe that only Mark Twain could qualify and fulfill that statement that there would be a stranger from afar come to the Holy Land and describe it. But then you go to Deuteronomy chapter 29 and read the prophecy in its entirety, and it is very specific about things. In fact, it mentions that not only would there possibly be a stranger from afar, but that there would be a younger generation of Israel who would arise, and even nations round about Israel who would see the land and its utter destruction if Israel broke the covenant it had with God and went and served other gods. So when you put those three groups together, then it could be anybody who could go to the land of Israel and see what God did to it as punishment for breaking the covenant. But you see, Jonathan Cahn has cherry-picked the phrase stranger from afar and cherry-picked Mark Twain for traveling to the Holy Land and writing about it, and put the two together and has Christians believing that Mark Twain fulfilled Bible prophecy. Doesn't that seem outrageous to you? I mean, at first I want to chuckle about it, but then when you think about it, you kind of get upset that someone would be so deceitful about this. And not only that, upset that Christians would just accept this without question. Liars like this count on Christians not checking into the story. And if you read the comments in response to this short video that Jonathan Cahn made, you'll see that Christians have already been drinking the Kool-Aid. They've been saying things like, "Oh, wow, isn't Bible prophecy wonderful?" Or, "Oh, wow, thanks for sharing this. I didn't know this." Well, the reason people didn't know about this is because it's really kind of silly to try to put the two together. But you see, these guys know that people will fall more readily for a big lie than they will a little one. So what do they have to lose by telling a whopper? Well, they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And just like the New Testament has warned us time and time and time again, people like this deceive in order to gain a following for themselves. And then, like I said, when you go into Deuteronomy 29 and read the specifics, there are even more than about who's going to see the land. What were they supposed to see, according to this? They were supposed to see brimstone and salt and a complete destruction by fire that equals or exceeds the devastation by fire when God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Did Mark Twain write about that? The brimstone and the salt and the destruction by fire? No, but that's what the stranger from afar was supposed to see. That's what the children of Israel coming up were supposed to see. That's what all the nations round about Israel were supposed to see. The brimstone, the salt, and the destruction by fire, and come to the realization that Israel must have broken its covenant for God to destroy the land like this. Again, is that what Mark Twain saw and wrote about? No, absolutely not. You know, it's kind of funny at first, Mark Twain and Bible prophecy, right? But then when you think about it, about how Jonathan Cahn and people like this are making these assertions, and Christians are going along with it, that just should make you kind of angry. It should make you angry that people like Jonathan Cahn think that you're so stupid that you're just going to go along with this without checking it out for yourself. Doesn't that make you angry that they're taking this approach with you? Doesn't it make you angry that they're prostituting the Bible just to gain a following for themselves, as the New Testament has warned us repeatedly? Doesn't that upset you at all? It upsets me, because this has nothing to do with the doctrine and the gospel of Christ. This is an obvious attempt to spin a yarn and a fable and a story just to gain a following. That's what it's all about. All right, folks, you've been watching End Time Counterpoint. My name is Dan. I thank you for tuning in today. If you have enjoyed this discussion, give it a thumbs up. Better yet, subscribe to this channel and help me build up my subscriber base. I would really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you would go to Apple Books or Barnes & Noble and look up my book called Blinded by the Rapture. You really need to get it. It will help you understand the Bible for yourself so you don't have to be deceived by the so-called prophecy experts who are nothing but wolves in sheep's clothing. Once again, folks, my name is Dan. Thanks for your kind attention today. Don't forget to subscribe to End Time Counterpoint, and I will see you in the next episode.